Well, let's see how this one is going to go. Endpoint versus Fierce. We're ready for it. The grand final, the opening map here on Train. Take it away, guys.
Thank you very much, Jackie. Yes, it is time to get the grand final underway. It's Endpoint versus Fierce Esports here in the grand final. Many predicted maybe Vex to be here, but Endpoint showing up, and they seem to have a little bit of magic every time we get a Prem going.
Yeah, it really feels that way, and the individuals are firing on all cylinders for Endpoint. If they can keep that going here against Fierce, they are always going to have that puncher's chance. And really, I think this is somewhat of a toss-up between these teams. I honestly feel like it comes down to how Endpoint play. If they can keep that going, they should have a really good chance here.
Yeah, I think Endpoint are probably the favorites coming into this for me.
They might be, honestly.
I think they're unpredictable. They're looking good on an individual level. We've seen how dominant they were on Train, right? And this is a big problem for FaZe. Earlier, they didn't look too solid. They definitely had weaknesses, and a lot of mistakes were being made. So I really feel like Endpoint, if they get that fast control going on again, starting on the T side, if they're just playing that fast style of play, I think Fierce can really start to struggle here.
Yeah, Endpoint starting on that T side, as you said. Gives them the opportunity to play with freedom across a lot of their players. Russ can take those aggressive fights, the same with Tudson. We're ready to get into the grand final here on Train.
Yes, we're into the pistol, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a defuse kit on Artis, Kevlar on the rest. Endpoint, they've got themselves the Kevlar of 4 players, a little bit of utility here on Mighty Max, and straight away, in towards a slow play from Endpoint to start off the pistol, hoping for aggression from Fierce. They know they like to get proactive. They know they want to get towards that E-box. Fry just holding on. Utility coming in.
Good smoke to cut off Fry. He won't be doing too much on this initial hold. It's up to Jenko to try and land shots, and he's struggling.
He really is struggling. Fry comes off the bomb site. Damage has been done back and forth, but it's Tudson to draw first blood here in the final as Fry starts to rattle shots through the smoke. It's Tudson picking up 1 kill. Impulse stepping in, another one from Impulse as Mighty Max does his best work. The bomb planted. Advantage siding with Fierce as it's not doubled as well. The lineup was there from Pulse, but it's not done. It's Impulse that gets it done, and Fierce, they go and find themselves the pistol.
Yeah, Impulse was a player we were talking about in that earlier series. He is showing up today. And at Fierce, showing up with some hype early on there. Definitely trying to make some noise. I think kind of seeing what Endpoint were doing previously and using that themselves.
The thing is for these two teams, right, they've been very intertwined in the past. You've had Impulse, Pulse, they've all played on Endpoint. We've got Whitey, who used to be the coach back then. The Artist, who actually won with Endpoint the last Premiership in the summer. So you have a lot of players here who have obviously played with each other and they know each other's playstyles. It's a bit of a rivalry going on here, definitely. And we'll Fierce are off to the good start on the CT side. Molotov going in to prevent Endpoint from going for a fast play in towards the A bomb site. We know from the post-match interview that's exactly what Mighty Max wanted to do.
I'm sure Impulse will be delighted to have an AWP in his hands in the second round. That's what having a good pistol round can do for you. Get enough kills, get the AWP out straight away.
And the thing is as well, it's not unwarranted, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You've got so many rifles you have to go up against that picking this AWP up is just normal. It's something that you kind of need to win rounds, essentially. So we'll see if they can get it done. Jenko coming in towards the bomb site. Tudson moving forward. A great headshot to start things off. Tudson is looking crispy.
Oh, and there's another kill. They keep on coming for Endpoint. The force fight looking good as Impulse gets caught up close and personal.
That's 2 shots from Tudson coming in immediately here. Astro on his own. A FAMAS in his hands as he backs away in towards the B bomb site. And that's the explosive play we know Endpoint can bring.
And Impulse didn't have too many opportunities to use his AWP at long range because his teammates die so quickly. It means that Endpoint are already on the site way too fast. He had to try and land a close range shot. He was the player that got the opening kill for them, but it's not enough. Endpoint come right back at Fierce in this second round. And this is exactly what they needed to do. Get that ball rolling early on the T side. That feels like Endpoint's easiest path to victory.
The thing is here, Fierce, they definitely look weak on the CT side of Train earlier, and that's obviously one of the favorite halves in CS, right? It's one of the more favorite halves definitely within the map pool. And while they looked really rough on it, I think in particular Astro had a really quiet game on that map. We've seen him have a lot of weaknesses in towards that B bomb site. Well, they've got to try and change that going up against Endpoint because they're going to exploit every weakness you've got with just sheer aggression and skill. Tudson immediately going in towards the A-bomb side again. He's going to use the pace, trying to get through, looking for the first headshot. The nade is covering his vision, but they're in behind the train. It's going to be one kill from Safe coming in towards the back of Brown. They have one in the bottom of the green train, and Safe is going to be covered up by Russ.
And so close on the spray down. Down to 3 health himself, but it might not matter. The kills keep on coming. It's only Impulse left alive, and he will be hunted down. Endpoint keeping up that pace.
Yeah, they want that aggression going. They've got the revs up. They're going straight in towards the A-bomb site. Everybody's had the game, right, where you're playing on the CT side of train, and you just wonder, how are they on A already?
Yeah.
You can't get it done. You can't stop it. And Endpoint are just going to try and abuse that over and over again until Fierce patch up a hole. And then I'm sure they'll find somewhere else to go.
Yeah, especially because Endpoint are only really using that one smoke and then just a bunch of flashbangs over the top.
Yeah.
It's much more simple for them. It's quite easy to just line up some decent flashes over the top to close the distance and then go from there. So it definitely suits their playstyle.
That's what Mighty Max said during the post-match, right? He said, well, we tried to play tactical on Nuke, didn't really work, so we went back to playing a very loose style of play, keeping it simple, just using our aim to get us a lot of the wins. And that's definitely the strong suit here of Endpoint.
I think this is a good decision from Endpoint to slow things down slightly against the low buy here and not just go back to the quick aggression every single round. This should be working out fine for them. No casualties so far.
We were looking at Vexed a lot during that last map that they played on Train. We were kind of talking, you and I and Ezio, we were kind of saying how quickly Vex were just getting destroyed. They were melted within 5 seconds. And this is that sheer pace that Endpoint were bringing to the table. And well, they're off to that same similar start. We have got ourselves a 3-1 lead here for Endpoint. Fierce Esports have got a bye coming into this. They have the op in the hands of Impulse, who had an excellent game earlier. He's the only player, bar Astro, to get a kill so far in this game.
Yeah, we were wondering whether it was a sort of weak A-bomb site hold from Vex that cost him in that game, but maybe it's just Endpoint finding a lot of success in their simple style of play. We will see, because Safe rushing into the B site, and that's a massive entry.
Yeah, straight away, they change the pace up. They don't go in towards the A-bomb site this time. They send the MAC-10 in solo through the bottom of the ramparts, able to pick up an easy kill. This time Fry will get a reply over on towards the A site. Tudson gone. 4v4. And that's not a player you want to be losing. Oh, Impulse. He knows the aggression could be possible. He's ready for it. And he gets the kill. Bomb planted though. Endpoint having to hold it off.
Yeah, Molotov's going down will slow things considerably. Endpoint pushed into the back lines still.
Well, the position from Mighty Max is so solid. He's going to find himself the first headshot. Yes, that gets rid of his position. The secret, the element, the surprise is gone. But he's still got the kill, and the time is ticking. Another kill coming in from Artis as he flanks in the back lines. But Russ and Pulse, they're finding frags, and it's all on the Artis. A 1 versus 2, and the time is ticking. He might just have to back off. It's going to be 4-1 here for Endpoint. What a start they're having.
You see, even at the end there, Artis still not ready for the aggression. They just keep on pushing their opponents. And this is looking good for Endpoint. Just getting that opening onto the B site so quickly. Fizz did not have the fast rotate they needed. Impulse was quite far away with the AWP. I think Impulse did the best he could, just holding back, but it wasn't quite enough there.
A good talking point to take a look at as well here for Endpoint is the fact that everyone is fragging. There's no weak link, right? Every single player is having impact and delivering a very small margin between the top and bottom players in terms of frags. That's it. Oh, not exactly the Molotov he was looking for. That's going to force him back. Mighty Max waiting. Artis is pushed up.
Oh, Max is about to move on in. Clears the corner. Good awareness from Mighty Max to win that first fight. That might make Fierce think that it's likely to be an A-sided play. They've spotted that first man, but Endpoint are all grouped up for a quick B play.
Well, they're coming in. It's going to be a fast play straight through the ramparts as they come on through. One kill from Russ connected. Looking for more, but caught in the open by the USP of Astro. It is traded back by Safe. And it's on to Impulse and Jenko to try and recover this fallen B bomb site. Don't think it's going to be happening. So a few kills is all they can hope for, and they might not even come through. Tudson finishes off the job, and Endpoint are delivering.
Yeah, just really solid from them so far. Again, sticking together for the most part. Max was on the lurk in that round, but he won his fight. This time, though, 2 AWPs out for Fierce. We saw Astro secondary AWPing earlier for this team. This time, though, Ardis is picking up the sniper, so I'm wondering if we see him get aggressive.
Mighty Max is certainly getting aggressive already on the A-bomb site, looking for the pick, but Impulse shuts it down. And that's exactly what you need. You need this aggression to be stopped, and this is exactly the way to do it. 2 early kills coming in. Not exactly the play that was needed there.
Yeah, you've already got the advantage. You don't want to be throwing it away. Luckily, there is a second player pushed through B, so it's not as big a deal, but the A site could be in trouble.
The 2 early picks that really look solid for Fierce were on point. It's going to be Ardis with 1, Fry with the other, and Ardis stepping up with a sniper. It's 2 for Fierce Esports, and that double up setup proves to be lethal.
Yeah, and you do wonder whether this is something that is a difference between the Vex team and the Fierce team, is that this round Ardis takes matters into his own hands. He's given the freedom to just get aggressive at Ivy, make some early plays, and then make sure they get off to a good start, win some early fights, and then just close it out from there. Yeah, freedom there just really helping.
It definitely feels like Vex lack that player, right, with a killer instinct. You know, we talk about Mezzi being a star, but he's very passive. You know, he's a very methodical player. It's not going to be willy-nilly like Ardis, and you know that's the problem sometimes. It can sometimes get you bit in the head.
I mean, there was a flashbang that was meant to help him out. It just didn't go far enough, is the problem.
Yeah.
Slight mistake from Fierce, but if that flashbang misses, it basically just gives the T's an idea that you're coming that direction, and Safe just drops down straight to his death.
Well, a lot of mistakes coming in from both sides right now, giving away advantages that were perhaps not needed. Tudson is already down towards Ivy.
They just want to fight, Dinko.
They
just want to fight.
Scrap. I mean, this is going to be a scrappy game of Counter-Strike, no doubt. We'd expect it more from Endpoint. Fierce should be the team that are a little bit more structured. They've been playing together for quite some time. They've been playing a very, very solid Team CS as well throughout the entire online portion of this league. And we find ourselves here at the Prem Finals. They need to step up if they want to get the win under their belt. It's Jenko off to a good start, finding them ahead of Mighty Max.
Tudson in the back lines, taps off the head of Impulse. Jenko trying to move round, but he's caught out. Russ picks up a 3rd on the round. It's all on Astro, and he's unable to do anything.
They just lose every infight here on the CT side. Russ just hit some nutty shots. The first one, okay, it looks normal, right? The second one, just so damn quick on the trigger. And that's exactly what you want from Russ. You talked about it on the desk. You said he was overperforming. Certainly having a great performance at this tournament, and he's continuing it here at the start of the grand final. It does help that they went from one very quick train map to another very quick train map. You could in fact say maybe it's a bullet train.
Yeah, maybe. Certainly feels that way right now. Timeout taken by Fierce to try to slow down that train slightly.
Yeah, maybe this is definitely needed from Fierce. You know, okay, they've got a few rounds that went their way. They had the chance there when Ardis finds those 2 kills and they have that double up setup. You know, they have a chance to start to build momentum, but they make too many mistakes in the follow-up round, right? That allows them right back into it. Endpoint continuing the fast plays.
Yeah, I think it would have been nice to have a nade stack or something like that in this round. Maybe just to stop some of that early aggression. But speaking of aggression, Safe is ready for it. 2 kills, but the trades aren't terrible. Unfortunately, it's only Jenko alive.
Yeah, only Jenko. He has got an SG, but winning this is not exactly possible for him, so he's going to have to try and save that on over. He's going to go in towards CT spawn. Endpoint up 7-2 on the T side of Train. We definitely seen a weak performance for Fierce on the CT side earlier. They started to claw it back on the T side, but for me, it still wasn't enough for me to be confident. I think Endpoint are looking much better. Obviously, the Wind and Rain, you'd have to expect that just by the caliber of players that they have. So the fact that Fierce were losing, you know, pretty convincingly to those guys is a really negative sign for me moving forward.
Yeah, clearly a good decision to get onto this map for Endpoint. Up to the 7-2 lead. I mean, Fierce will now have the opportunity to have the full nades, the double AWPs again. Yeah. We need to see those nades used early. You normally can get a molly or some nades onto that A main position quickly enough, but we haven't really seen it yet.
Someone who, you know, you don't really talk about maybe being so vocal on this Fierce Esports team earlier was Impulse, right? We've seen him getting very emotional when they were playing on Overpass, and that's when they went on that absolute tear of rounds. So maybe he's a player that can add more to this team. Maybe he's a player we don't know too much about, you know, in terms of his personality, but maybe he adds a lot to the roster. I certainly think he adds a lot in terms of his firepower as well. It's going to be Tudson sitting back with the AK. In Pop Dog as he sits at the bottom, already in his position. The rest of Endpoint gathering outside of the B-bomb site, ready to impact on the two players currently defending that.
Yeah, and Endpoint previously have generally only had to deal with one player on the B site itself in that game against Vex. This time, there are two CTs here waiting.
Well, Impulse is licking his lips, waiting for these kills to come in towards him, but the smoke is up, the flash is in, and Fry will get rid of Tudson. Mighty Max able to trade back, and Astro's gone as they continue to push forward. Impulse looking for kills, misses his opportunity, and tries to back away. He's slowed by the Molotov, and Safe is able to pick him up. It's kill after kill for Endpoint as they continue to push forward. There's nothing coming in here for Fierce. They might as well consider saving because this round is done, and Endpoint don't even let them.
Yeah, there were quite a few rounds in that previous train game for Endpoint where they did exactly this. Just an even trade onto the B site. You get into a 4v4 and you're in great shape. That smoke was very, very well placed to make sure that the AWP of Impulse couldn't do anything to assist on the hold. Then the Molotov meant he couldn't even fall back to that yellow train he was trying to. He had to go all the way back there. You see, not able to do so. And then Russ landing some nice shots for this Endpoint lineup.
Well, it too, starting to get very scary right now for Fierce. This is a grand final after all. A lot of money on the line. Impulse sits in behind the E-box, smoke up in front of his face. Starting to play the default. Endpoint clearing it with the utility, going in towards Ivy. Artis, a little bit wary of the Ivy position. Certainly should be as well. Know where Endpoint are going to explode from next. It's like the silent beast ready to explode upon you. You don't know which way it's going to go.
Well, it looks like a slower start to the round from Endpoint, but you best believe once they start moving into one of these bomb sites, the pace will still be there. They've got nades this time. Something planned this round. Good flashes to force Impulse off the angle. He's trying to find the fights, but the molly is really good at the start of the round.
Impulse finding one kill straight away on towards Fry. Jenko picking up one as Tudson backs in. Russ able to follow up, and it's easy pickings here for the T side. It's only Jenko doing his best work, but the bomb plant coming in. Oh, nice shot from Jenko. He might just go for more. He's got 3 under his belt so far, and 2 more to find, but he's low HP. They know where he is, and Hurricane Max drops him on the floor.
There it is. Another round, 1 for Endpoint. Fierce, again, winning some fights, but it always felt like once Endpoint got those opening kills, they were going to be able to close that one out. Some decent utility usage that time as well. They got the opening thanks to the molly. The flashes were good to allow them to get out through A main in the first place, and Tudson's going back to the aggression.
Straight away. I mean, how many times have we seen a different Endpoint player do this? They don't care. It's just whoever's got the best spawn, just go run at A. Tudson with the initial kill. Fry able to back it up, but the weakness has been made. The hole has been picked open, and Russ will just exploit that.
Oh, Pulse moving on to the site itself. Here's those steps. He also knows Fry is on the site. Flash assists are plenty for Endpoint in this round. Impulse spots a player pushing too far, but it's not going to matter. He's the last man left.
Impulse on his own, 1 versus 3, backing off of the AWP, having to save it into the next one. And again, it's just Endpoint bombarding that A bomb site so quick. Fierce have whiplash just trying to find out where the players are.
Yeah, you see there, Tudson at the start of the round, when he's taking that fight, he has the assistance of those flashbangs. It was Russ who got the flash assist. The Fierce player is just kind of standing in the open, trying to take the fights, but as soon as you get blinded, you are in trouble in those positions.
Impulse has been picking players off here and there, but the problem is the rest of his team aren't, right? They're kind of the cannon fodder to set him up. Yes, he's been finding frags, but they're a little bit inconsequential when it comes down to things because he's picking one and then falling back, and he can't really have too much impact if the rest of his teammates are already destroyed.
Yeah, and if they're up so close on the site before he can really get into position, sure, he can land one shot, but he needs his teammates to make sure they don't just lose the bomb site so quickly.
Yeah, we need to see better setups coming in here from Fierce. We need to see better utility usage, but obviously it's a bit of a problem when you don't exactly have too much money. They've got good utility here, but the problem is only 2 Molotovs in there, so they're the pieces of utility that are the holy grail right now for this side.
Ooh, Russ was holding that angle.
Oh!
Yeah.
Good start. Impulse this time, winning the aim battle.
Pulse is just pushing out through upper though, wanting to take fights, wanting to take this B site. He is alone in this position. Finally getting assistance from Safe. You can see the rotate he's caused, though, and there's the kill from Pulse.
The problem is here, Fierce, yes, they can have a good setup initially at the start, but it's being picked apart, it's being caused to change a lot because of the fact that Endpoint are just all over the place. They're pushing everything. There's constant changes in the defense having to come through, adjustments being made, but it's working. Fry and Jenko have found 2 kills, and Fierce have a 2-man advantage.
Safe needs to stay alive here. Max is on the flank, but he's moving in. He's going for fights, and that maybe wasn't the correct call. Max gets one in the backside, but I don't know how he's going to win this round. Might just go through the smoke. He's got a second smoke to drop, flashbang to follow, but Impulse is there and can hear those nades being dropped. Finally, a round win again for Fierce, but they have showed no consistency so far.
None. That's the problem, right? Because it's hard to find consistency when there isn't a system. There isn't a protocol. It's just reacting based on what the hell Endpoint's doing. And that's the thing. They talked about the more predictable CS. They wanted to play Vexed in this final for that exact reason. They could play their own setups. They could play the style of Counter-Strike that they want. But when you're going up against Endpoint, they're going to push everything. You don't know what they're doing. There hasn't been any consistent tell signs. You know, you don't know if they're coming towards Ivy. They could be anywhere, and you have to be constantly at the ready. And Artis is certainly at the ready for the first kill.
It just feels like Fierce are constantly on the back foot in those earlier rounds, but this time they win a couple of early fights. Now they can try and control the situation. Nice spray from Fry.
Starting to really find their groove here, Fierce, in these last 2 rounds. See a little bit more confidence. Fry willing to go for that fight in toward Pop Dog. They sort of stop this attack from Endpoint. Although I do feel that Endpoint have done enough work already. You know, finding 10 on the T side of Train, even if they're not to win a single round after this, they've already done so much.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they are going to be going into the half with a very happy scoreline. It's just a case of can they pick up 1 or 2 more rounds, probably a maximum of 1 at this point, because Max and Safe don't have many chances. Oh, hello.
Sneaky beaky like for Max. He's going to go for the knife, and he's got it. Shanks up, Impulse dices him, and looks for a little bit more here, but he's spotted by Jenko, and his head torn off his shoulders. It's 10-4, last round of the half coming up. If Fierce managed to salvage a 5th on the board, honestly, that's not too bad, considering how terrible this half has been for them.
Yeah, it would keep them somewhat in the game. Again, Astro, another CT side of Train that he's struggled on. Only 2 kills from him. Flashes over A main. That suggests maybe it's the A play, but Fierce are stacked on B. They're ready for this aggression. Fights coming through thick and fast.
Well, great frags coming through. It's going to be Mighty Max and Tudson finding the kills. Man advantage here for Endpoint. Kill, oh, the timing! He unscopes as soon as Artis comes through the connector. And that is exactly the type of kill Artis wants. 2v1 though, as the kill is replied by Russ, but Fry, a ninja in the bomb site, the first, but he cannot flick back. Russ too quick, and it's another pick out for Endpoint. An 11-4 half coming in from the T side of Train. It's absolutely unbelievable. The pace was ferocious.
Even when Fierce stack the B site with 3 players waiting for the push to come their way, they lose out the opening trades.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous that Endpoint can so consistently win these early fights. It's been unbelievable to see them come through with this level of play on their individuals and getting the trades through. And now heading into the second half, they have to be heavy favorites on this first map.
Well, pop flash in towards Ivy. It's going to be a big swing from Tudson. He won't find the headshot on towards Jenko as Impulse able to trade back alongside Artis, who follows up. So, advantage here for Fierce into a must-win pistol. Frying close by. In the smoke is Mighty Max waiting for an opportunity to pick him off. He'll look in towards Ivy, look for the headshot, but Artis continues to find frags in the P250. And this is looking good. Unless Russ can line them up, which he cannot. He's missed his opportunity. And Safe is in towards Connector. Not looking good here at all for Endpoint as Artis continues to hit his shots.
Yeah, great stuff from Artis with that P250. Russ has been looking good so far in this game, but this is surely a stretch too far. You know exactly where he's coming from, and he will be looking for any ways in. Maybe just some kills for some extra money. Not going to happen though. Impulse closes out the round and Fierce pick up the much needed pistol to keep themselves alive.
Fierce just taking the time, a little breath, because they know what's coming up next. Got a very difficult half ahead of them. 5 for the board. Not amazing. Considering they're on the T side of trade, it's very difficult to get that momentum going sometimes. You know, if you don't have a system, you don't have something that works, Endpoint are good enough, in my opinion, to have enough runs to get in them to get this one over the line. I think if they've done enough on this T side, I think they've got strong enough individuals that it should be enough for a CT half to come through. Not getting off to the greatest of starts in terms of the pistol, but they could certainly pick it up in the following.
Wow, they are going for the force by 3 scouts in play.
Oh.
Not much movement from Fierce.
No.
No. This does not look like it's live.
I hope not. I hear a lot of typing. So we're going to get a little bit of match medic on the scene. See what's going on. Maybe resurrect this round coming through. So we're just getting the round restarted and ready to get back into things, Alex. Thank God for match medic.
Thank God. Hopefully we'll speed up this process. We'll see what Endpoint do with those scouts, though, if they could decide to go for them. I assume they will go for a similar sort of buy. On train, you can definitely put those scouts to use, but once you miss maybe 1 or 2 shots, that's when you can be in trouble in those closer range fights, especially if you have so many of the scouts. Obviously not a weapon you want to be fighting multiple opponents with, and not a weapon you want to be fighting up close with. So we'll see what happens for Endpoint with that force buy. I'm not sure the force buy is needed here, but I think as a team they're just so confident that they can win these battles that they want to just take as many fights as they can, take as many of these chances as they can. Not giving Fierce any breathing room, and I think that kind of sums up this game. Endpoint have constantly been up in their opponents' faces, not allowing Fierce any time to think in a lot of these rounds.
That's the thing, right? You can't think. You can't come up with a solution if everything is going so fast. That T side was just a hurricane running over the bomb side. Wiping out everything. It was a different player every time. There's no consistency with this Endpoint roster in terms of set roles, because they're not a team, right? They're coming into this with a stand-in terms of Tudson playing for Robin. And what a stand-in to get, really. Tudson's an incredible player. We've seen the impact he can deliver. But it's not a one-man show on this Endpoint roster. That's the thing. They've got so much depth, it's unbelievable. Everyone's stepping up. Even Russ having an excellent performance today. And if that's the case, coming into a grand final, you've got a winning roster right there.
Yeah, definitely. Just based on the individuals. Just looking at some of the stats so far this game, Tudson has been winning a lot of opening fights, 4 out of 5 opening duels he's been successful in. Safe 4-0 in opening duels, has also been good on those early kills. And then Russ, I think, was playing fairly aggressive. Didn't maybe shine through in the stats on the opening duels, but I think a lot of the times he was following up pretty well. So many quick kills for Endpoint that it's hard to always get that first frag through, because you always have players pushing everywhere, it seems. And then for Fierce, yeah, Impulse was doing decently with the AWP. Ardis has had a couple of rounds as well. And then some of the other players have some frags, but not really performing as you would maybe want them to in terms of impact.
Well, as the stat sort of suggests on the screen, Russ, definitely such an impressive player. I don't think, you know, when you look at this Endpoint roster, the players you talk about, Russ isn't really amongst the top fraggers we usually count in this roster, right? I think it's incredible the consistency that Mighty Max has had as well. Across every Prem, he seems to just step up and play really well. I think Endpoint definitely have some magic when it comes to these Prem finals.
Yeah, I think especially in the last finals for Endpoint, I think Max was in some roles he really wasn't too happy with. But here, he's been given some slightly better roles where he can frag, and he's definitely been doing a decent job at that. Especially because, you know, this Endpoint roster in particular, there isn't, you know, as much structure. He doesn't have to be running in first every round because his teammates can do that, and they can do that very effectively.
Yeah, and he's definitely feeling happy. I think this Endpoint roster are just happy with the way they're performing, right? They had no pressure coming into this. I don't think many people were predicting them to win it. I think a lot of people would be looking towards Fierce or Vex, but this team just seemed to always show up and always slap these tactical teams up the face. You know, these rosters that stick together, work hard, do all the stuff everyone says you need to do. and Endpoint come in with their individual skill and just smash it on the table.
Always scary when that happens. There is the one player on Fierce that has been finding some consistency with the fragging, at least on this map. Impulse was getting kills across multiple rounds. Again, like you said though, hasn't been able to turn that into the massive impact we were hoping for, and here we go, back into the action, and Endpoint have indeed stuck with those scouts.
Wow, 11-5. Fierce just picked up the pistol in the second half, a much needed one after an 11-4 deficit coming into the second. Well, they've got to try and resist this force buy on the scouts from Endpoint. Whether or not they can is yet to be seen. They should be able to pretty easily, but you never know.
Well, they're currently grouping up outside B, where it's the pistols for Endpoint in play. Smoke deployed, that could certainly slow things down. I'd be surprised if Fierce go through that smoke. They know they're against a low buy. They don't need to take that risk, especially so early into the round. They are all grouped up at B though, so they decide they are going to push on in. Mighty Max takes the early fights, trying to see what he can do. The jump round the corner, but no one there to follow Jenko up. Fierce are looking somewhat timid right now. They finally take the fight onto Mighty Max. Tudson trying to hold the site, but he is also dealt with.
On plan coming in, Astro getting the Digis punch through. Man advantage here over on the Fierce side, as they look to try and just hold on towards the side. Endpoint looking to try and recover. It's going to be a shot from Russ going through. Fry dealt with. Artist able to find one more. Safe, able to pick him up. Artist finding the follow-up, but it's all on the Pulse. The 1 versus 2 is needed on the Scout as he starts to come on. Back through, the shot landed. Pulse gets it done, and the time's ticking. The retake is in. And the defuse, it's tapped, but Pulse cannot quite get it done just yet. Impulse hiding away. He's played this one perfectly, not overextending, and Pulse has to run away. He's baited Impulse to check in towards the site. He's 14 HP, so might just die to the bomb here. And will not take too much damage, only 2 HP.
Yeah, even in this round though, Endpoint keeping it close in terms of kills, not giving Fierce any easy rounds right now. Reinvestment has to come through from the Fierce side, but this is their chance to try and win a slightly easier one against mostly pistols. Just the one scout saved by Pulse. Not the flashbang they wanted at the start of the round, but it won't matter too much. The smokes are coming into this A site.
Well, Jenko ready to come in through Pop Dog. Give me the front man on the charge. The Mac 10 Fry able to pick up Russ. The follow-up coming through on the Mac 10 as Jenko finds the kills. It's Mighty Max, 1 on the P250. There'll be an advantage in the side here for Fierce as they'll look for the bomb plant. Smoke is in towards the connector. Impulse able to find a headshot. Looking so solid for Fierce at this point. As Fry pick it up Pulse, and Mighty Max will fall as well. Fierce starting to find a little bit of momentum.
Yeah, it's one of the few rounds where they probably have been feeling comfortable. They haven't felt under pressure really at any point, as you would kind of expect. It allows them to build up some bank as well, but here come these snipers for Endpoint. 2 of them in play. Russ obviously happy to get the AWP as soon as possible. And then Safe is the man taking the secondary AWP this time round. Not a bad attempt with the nade, but Fierce are trying to play Endpoint at their own game with the quick aggression out through A.
Spray. Tudson looking to pick them up. It's Sim holding on. It's Tudson with the lineup, and they certainly know how to play their own game. They shut it right down and looking for a little bit more, but Impulse connects the headshot. Flash heads its way in towards the site, and there's the frag from Russ. Exactly what they were looking for. As Fry is on his own, 24 HP in a 1v4, and Mighty Max hits the headshot, 12 of the board.
Solid stuff from Endpoint. Holding back. Fierce weren't really given too many of the early fights there, which I think is the difference in terms of how Endpoint played it. They all sat back together, made sure that they could line up the crossfires, establish those passive angles, and then Fierce just end up walking into the lion's den. That's more of what Fierce probably should have been doing on their CT side, and maybe they are realizing that now as Endpoint come away with that round win very quickly. And now Fierce go back to the tactical timeout. The quick play didn't work for them, and they've not got too much more room for error with the current scoreline.
easy lineup for Tudson, though. Certainly a little bit of luck played into it as well, as they were so close by. Easy to drop them both very, very quickly. And now it's 12-7. 4 away from victory for Endpoint. Looking to try and take it all here on Trey and send us to a second. Mirage for me, you know, you would obviously say, okay, it's Fierce's map pick. They should be feeling more confident on it. I don't know if it really is. I think, you know, they could definitely go either way. I think Endpoint have enough skill on their roster to get it done. And well, a good frag coming through from Russ opens things up as Astros hit the deck. And now Endpoint look to try and hold on. They've got that advantage. Now they just need to make sure they don't make any mistakes and throw it away.
Yeah, 3 Orcs could struggle somewhat, but as soon as I say that, Tudson also chimes in with a kill. Fierce need to really push onto the bomb site soon here. The smokes are going to fade shortly, and this is not going according to plan for Fierce. There is a man on the site itself, but Safe emerges up through Connector, and Impulse will not be doing anything. So quick on the trigger are all of Endpoint as they win the round without losing a single player.
Well, 3 away from victory here, Endpoint. Starting to find the groove again on the CT side as well. So dominant in the first half. Here in the second, this is the type of stuff I was talking about. The fact that they are able to shut down the T side as well. The way that they were running out towards the side on the T side, but they can stop that aggression on the CT side as well. So you have that capability when you flip the coin. And that's exactly what Endpoint have got here. They've got that understanding of how to play this map very well, and Fierce, unfortunately, just don't seem to at all. Maybe Trins want to take a look at after this event.
Well, Endpoint sticking with the 3 Orcs on their CT side. Worked out for them in the last round, though. Fierce were unable to really get up close. They were unable to quickly push as a unit. They looked a little indecisive as they were moving into that A site. They kind of got caught in the open. We'll see if the same comes through in this round. Flash out. Russ avoids it, looking to reface, and it's a nice shot to start things off.
Oh, going back in for a little more. Shot from Janko lands. Pulse able to find the follow-up as Fry, Impulse, and Astro left alone. As it's only Astro, 1 versus 4. He'll try and do what he can with a P250, but we shouldn't be expecting too much. It's safe to take him down. 14-7. 2 away now, Endpoint. This has just been a sheer masterclass.
You see Pulse in that round almost acting as the glue of the team as well. Russ decides to make an aggressive play that he maybe didn't need to, but Pulse is there behind him. He was playing on the green train, but he realized, I quickly need to make sure that Russ doesn't just die and give up the AWP. So he rotates over, does his job well, allows his fraggers to take the fights that they want to, and then is just there to make sure that they are good to go. 14-7, sorry, is the score for Endpoint, and at this point, well, maybe Fierce are going to have to think about the next map. We'll see as they go again onto A.
Smoke up as Tudson trying to hold on as Janko will take him away. Paul's able to find the kill on towards Fry. 4v4. Looking for more. That's the Endpoint roster. Russ coming in with a big flank, and this could be the crippling effect as Safe has fallen. It all falls under Rush to make the play here in towards T-Con. He's got someone looking his way though. Impulse doesn't matter. Pulse is going to find a kill. Russ on the back as well. Looking so solid for the Endpoint side as Janko has to do it all. 1v3 with an AWP, and Pulse has sent him to the grave. A cleanup again coming in from Endpoint. I think get that defuse in. Just looking so much better than Fierce here on Trin.
Yeah, again, I think they know at this point that they've basically got this one in the bag. Looking at very, very relaxed. Not the same for Fierce, though. Look at the kill distribution for Endpoint. Everyone showing up. Top fragger, Russ, joint with Pulse at 18 kills. Mighty Max at the bottom with 15. Not much of a difference between them. Tudson actually is on 19 kills. I missed him out, but overall, it's just been an absolute massacre from the Endpoint side. This time, though, Max tries to get aggressive, and he's caught out early.
Well, Russ goes on up. Multiple players coming in towards him. He's got the M4A4 in his hands. Start to put pressure in towards this area. Artist needs to win this battle, and he can. Russ does a good job, but pulls an 8 at the wrong time, and he does get caught with his pants down. And that's going to be Endpoint dropping this round. Fierce going up to 8. And this is much better from them. whether or not they can find this as a consistent factor, I don't know. And obviously, a little bit too late, I feel. Eventually, you'd expect Endpoint to be able to roll into one. Just got so many to play with.
I like the sticker on the end of Safe's AWP. It's nice. On the scope.
I believe that's Impulse's AWP skin as well.
Right, right. Wow, either way, it is a round win for Fierce. I think Russ there just sticking around way too long. Either put the smoke down straight away or just fall back straight away. Needed to be aware of the possibility of a player peeking in for the trade. But Endpoint can continue with the 2 AWPs, can continue with the buy. Only needing one more round to take this one over the line. Tudson being set up for some aggression, but it's Russ to get the opening frag.
Russ again being so impactful. Tudson looking for the multi-kill once more. As the bomb hits the floor, it's on Jenko and Astro. And now only Astro, the in-game leader. We talk about his fragging ability, but he certainly isn't doing it here on Train at all today. And a quiet performance in the opening matchup. Out here as well in the grand final. Train just doesn't seem to be his map, nor Fierce. One kill from Astro through the smoke, but the Molotov forces him into the open. And there it is. The first map goes to Endpoint, 16-8 on Train.
Very comfortable stuff for them. Huge start on their T side. The aggression was something that Fierce clearly could not deal with quickly enough. The adaptation never really came through for the consistent round wins. And as soon as Endpoint come out to that sort of lead, you always know that they've got the players to close it out.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing stuff coming in from Endpoint. So ferocious in their approach, but it is time for a break. When we're back, we'll have map number 2 of the grand final. We'll see if Endpoint can close it or Fierce can bounce back.